Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So, I mentioned in an earlier video that Ukraine is using U.S. supplied HIMARS to attack the dam in the Kherson region, and what the dangers are with this, that this could drown tens of thousands of civilians that are still in that region. And Russia did take this up in front of the UN the other day. I don't know what the response was, but probably no response at all. In addition, they've been using these HIMARS to attack bridges that are being used by civilians to evacuate the region. Bridges, pontoon bridges. The bridge itself is being used almost exclusively by civilians. And there have been several civilians that have been killed and dozens more injured and dozens of vehicles destroyed in these bombings. Russian air defense can fend off 90% of the incoming missiles, but as I've stated before, if there are too many missiles incoming, then something will get through. And that's true for any air defense system. So, like I said, surface-to-surface missiles can only do, or air-to-surface missiles, anything, drones, they can only do a limited amount of damage to the dam. That's just the way that that's physics. They can hit the surface of the dam and possibly cause a greater problem controlling the dam and increase water release, but it's not going to destroy the entire dam and cause massive flooding. What some Russian intelligence has stated is that Ukraine plans to use, naval mines and floating them down the river to the dam, or a submarine drone to destroy the dam. But they are taking steps to mitigate that risk. So Russia did take this up at the UN Security Council, the UN, and state that this is a possible pending humanitarian disaster and a war crime. Absolutely. In addition, over the weekend, Russian Minister of Defense Shoigu was on the phone with the ministers of defense of several different countries, including the UK, France, and Germany. And there was another one that I don't recall, but what he was telling them is that, and what is being reported, is that Ukraine is trying to compile a dirty bomb. So, a lot of people are confused about what a dirty bomb is. They think that that is a nuclear weapon. It's not a nuclear weapon. A dirty bomb uses depleted, radioactive waste. And some people have been denying this. Well, where is Ukraine going to get that from? They've got 2 operating nuclear plants in Ukraine that are still under their control. Yeah, that's where they would get it from. Anyway, a dirty bomb it does not cause a nuclear explosion. It uses conventional explosives to disperse radioactive contamination and to poison the populace within the range of that bomb. So Shoigu and Lavrov have stated that they have intelligence. You can count on it. This was in this phone call. They have intelligence. They have evidence that can be verified. They stated clearly there are 2 companies that are involved in the compilation of these devices. So that's as much as has been made public. From what I've heard, they plan on setting this device off in the city of Mykolaiv. Why? To make Ukraine look like a victim. Why? Stop and think. Of course, there's this claim that, Russia's just doing this to, set up for a red flag for something that they intend to do. We heard that with the, biological labs in Ukraine, that Russia was preparing to conduct a biological or chemical attack. And how did that play out? Has that happened? No, it hasn't. It's always, they're getting ready to use this as a false flag to cover up for what they're doing. No. Why would Russia do that when they have got, hypersonic nuclear weapons? They've got hypersonic missiles, etc., etc. There would be absolutely no benefit to Russia to do this, but there would be a benefit to Ukraine. But in the process, they would be killing tens of thousands of their own people and permanently contaminating their own city, their own region, with radioactive contamination. If you think that Ukraine is not above killing their own people for a PR stunt, then just look at the fact that they still claim that the 4 regions incorporated into Russia are Ukrainian territory and Crimea, and yet they will kill civilians on the bridge. They are still bombing the city of Donetsk. They have killed, they're bombing civilian bridges to keep people from evacuating. They are trying to bomb a bridge in an attempt to flood a region, which would kill tens of thousands of civilians. They're grabbing people off the street, rushing them into the military with virtually no training, up to 60 years old, and putting them on the front lines. Ukraine will definitely put civilians at risk. They will definitely kill their own people for a PR stunt. This is not a question. That's on top of the fact that, Luhansk and Donetsk, for 8 years, Ukraine considered the Donbass region to be part of Ukraine, and yet they were attacking and killing civilians in those regions. Civilians. I don't mean military combat forces, I mean civilians. They're still bombing civilian regions. There was a case just yesterday where they bombed a house with an elderly couple in it, and both of them are in ICU right now because of it. Yes, they will absolutely do this. This is not a question. Amnesty International, in their report, detailed how Ukrainian forces have used civilians, including children, as human shields. The Azovstal steel plant, they had thousands of civilians being held hostage, and they stated, these civilians stated they were being held hostage. They were not allowed to leave. They were kept in the bowels of the Azovstal steel plant for weeks, 5 or 6 weeks. So, yeah, Ukraine will definitely put civilians at risk or kill civilians for PR purposes. I've brought up the question before. If you're not fighting for your people, then what are you fighting for? Lines on a map. Why? What does that benefit you? Especially when you're willing to sell off so much of your industries, your land, your banking systems, put yourself further and further into debt that you can never pay off. What are you fighting for? Anyway, and yet they will refuse to hold peace talks. What is the meaning of this? Then Ukraine, Zelensky was talking to the UK this weekend, trying to get nuclear weapon technology. That's not going to happen. It better not happen. Anyway, couple of side notes. I find it very humorous that that Russia has been bombing, electrical power plants, none of the nuclear plants, but the traditional heat powered plants in Ukraine for weeks now, and the Ukrainian government is still claiming that only 30% of the energy, electrical power in the country has been affected. That was the claim after the very first day, and they're still claiming the exact same amount of energy is being affected, only 30%. I'd say it's more like 50%, 60, 75%, the only ones that are still getting energy are from the nuclear power plants. And if Russia has hit substations, power distribution centers that are connected, at a distance from those plants, then you affect even more. It's very possible that it might be 80 or 90% of the energy in the country has been affected. In Kiev, Russia also struck a heat plant, a steam heat plant, which distributes heat to buildings and homes, at least in downtown Ukraine, in the central area. So they knocked out the heat for those homes. Another side note, unrelated, Saudi Arabia is now applying, apparently, to join the BRICS system. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, which is an alternative to the SWIFT system, which is they are international payment systems. The SWIFT system relies entirely on the dollar. The BRICS system uses alternative currencies, the yuan, the ruble. It's countries trading in their native currency or an agreed upon currency. So that could mean the end of the petrodollar, at this point. There are many threats that have arisen to the petrodollar system, which could genuinely collapse the value of the dollar if they actually take place. But we're going to have to wait and see about that. There hasn't been any word that they've actually been admitted into the BRICS system as yet. But if you look at the difference between when Biden met with Mohammed bin Salman, and the Prince of Saudi Arabia, and when Putin met with him, the difference is worlds apart. As opposed to a fist bump, and no, we're not going to give you what you want, and in fact we're going to reduce oil production. And when Putin and the Prince met, they were smiling and laughing. It's worlds apart. Russia and Saudi Arabia are in the OPEC Plus system. The United States does not belong to this organization, because the United States wants to do whatever the United States wants to do with oil production, with no agreement with other oil-producing countries. So why should these other countries that have agreements that meet frequently to determine what they're going to do with oil production, why should they be listening to the United States? Why should they be using the dollar for oil trade? There is no good reason at this point, especially when the United States is talking about not selling any more weapons to Saudi Arabia, which is oil for weapons. That is the petrodollar system. If you end your part of it, then you've ended that agreement. You have shot the petrodollar in the head, not in the foot, in the head. All right, so share this video, talk about these subjects. Let's hope for peace talks to be coming. As of yet, there has been no Kherson actual offensive. There's been intensified fighting, but there is no offensive as yet. There's a difference between intensified fighting and an all-out offensive. So that has not started as yet. I'm still calling into question whether it will happen if the whole thing is dependent on destroying a dam and killing tens of thousands of civilians, which is a war crime. The dam, destroying that dam, would be a war crime. A dirty bomb would be a war crime. All right. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign. And I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day.